Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it happens to be while you're watching this. Coming at you with another video. Got multiple subjects to cover today, so I'm not going to do like some really in-depth stuff. I'm going to skip over the gaslighting stuff. I got what I think is going to be a really decent show coming up this weekend, covering a lot of more in-depth gaslighting stuff. So I just wanted to cover some news that hit late yesterday and today. And then I'll spend some time doing the gaslighting video and hopefully get that published out for you guys tomorrow. So I'm going to start off with, in Louisville, right after the grand jury handed a no true bill, the riots kicked off in Louisville, right? So you guys all remember there was a U-Haul truck that people were... people were getting riot shields and signs and masks and goggles and all that stuff from, right? So the person that was driving it has been identified. This is awesome. So this is a YouTube video. You'd have to watch it. It's only 10 minutes, or just shy of 11 minutes. It's on Mr. Obvious's YouTube website. And he's a decent guy. He puts out some good content. You might want to give him a follow. So this Holly Zoller, Zoller, she's the one who rented the truck. So the basis of this video, and you have to watch it, is the hacker 4chan found out who she was, called her, saying that, representing himself as a U-Haul person, saying there was some stuff that happened with her lease, and that, you know, they got videos of people, blah, blah. She said, yes, I was driving, but we were handing out supplies like water and masks and goggles. So she self-admitted over the phone to this hacker who portrayed himself as a U-Haul employee that she, yes, indeed, she was a driver. Not only that, but they got a copy of her rental agreement with U-Haul with her name on it. It's pretty interesting. You got to find out and watch the video to see who she actually works for, too. Hint, she's one of the ones that bails out the rioters with the money that Soros has been funding. Interesting. So, if you want to watch the video, I encourage you to watch the video. It's pretty enlightening. It's concrete, solid proof. This lady right here, Miss Holly Zoller, is the one who was the driver and rented the vehicle. So, good stuff. I wanted to move on to another topic. I think most of you are aware of or heard about the lady in Ohio. I think it was in Logan, Ohio, at a football game that was arrested for not wearing a mask, right? So, here's my take on this. The policy where she was it's mandatory for everybody to wear a mask. Okay. She chose not to wear the mask. They told her she needs to wear a mask or she needs to leave. She chose to do neither. She's making her statement. Okay. So the police came up, asked her to put on a mask or leave. She refused to do either. He told her she now has to leave. There was a school board administrator sitting right there, or standing there, and she wouldn't leave, so he placed her under arrest. I'm not 100% sure what charges are yet. I'm assuming it's trespassing. And she resisted, and she got tased. So I bring all that up because the funny part to me, the part that I see, is the right-leaning people that I'm friends with or whatever on Facebook are all up in arms. The police shouldn't have treated her this way. All over a mask, blah, blah, blah. The mask this and law that and all the other shit because the Ohio Supreme ruler dude, otherwise known as a governor, is an idiot, still making masks mandatory. So they're all up in arms about she was tased and rough manhandled and all this stuff from the police. Well, at the same time, the left, people that I'm friends with that are more left-leaning, are all about, oh, she deserved it. She didn't, because they're all mask Nazis too, because she wasn't wearing a mask and blah, 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 blah. So I bring that up because in the instances of other situations, roles have been reversed. When it comes to like the rioters and protesters being ran over with cars and all the other stuff, right? The saying and mantra is play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? Excuse me, sorry. So the the people from the right are all about the, win stupid games, win stupid prizes. Well, then the people from the left, when it comes to those other situations like rioters being run over and that kind of stuff, they think their take is, well, the police are brutal. They're hunting black men in the street. They're abusive of their power. So these protesters have the lawful right to refuse arrest, resist arrest. They shouldn't be shot when they go in a car to get a gun and all this fun stuff. But yet, with the incident with the lady in Ohio, roles are flipped. Why? Let's break this down. She was in a place where, knowing what the mask policies are, she refused to wear a mask. She refused to leave knowing what the mask policies are. She was asked to leave. She refused to leave. Therefore, she's trespassed. Police told her to leave. She didn't leave. She resisted the police officer, who then arrested her and tased her. She resisted with violence. Is probably going to be the charge, right? But along with the trespassing. I have no problems with what the police officer did. Hate me, like me, disagree with me, agree with me, whatever. I don't care. She failed to obey the lawful order of a police officer who was there to protect and secure safety. He was called to the scene because of the lady not following the school's policy, and the athletic associations of Ohio has a policy of wearing a mask. She'll get her 15 minutes of fame, but my thing to you right-leaning people that are upset about it, why didn't she just comply? None of that dumbassery would have happened if she would have just complied, right? If she would have just done what she was told to do. Nothing that bad. She wouldn't have been tased. It doesn't matter that she's a woman. She's a person who refused the lawful orders of a police officer. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? I'm sure that'll probably piss a few of you off. So we're moving on. California. Governor Newsom signed a bill to make all gas-powered cars illegal, if that's the right word, by 2035. That's wonderful. So in case you weren't aware, the state of Florida has what's known as rolling blackouts, and have had rolling blackouts for almost a year or more now, because their grid cannot support or supply the demand in that state. So they have to do rolling blackouts because they can't produce the power needed to currently support the current infrastructure in California. So Gavin Newsom comes out with this bill to get rid of gas-powered cars. What's the alternative? What's the only viable alternative? Oh, I know, electric cars. Okay, cool. So he wants to go green, right? How do you refuel an electric car? Don't you have to plug it in and recharge it? So if you get rid of the millions of cars that are currently gas-powered in the state of California and replace them with millions of new electric-powered cars, you're going to increase the demand on the grid by 10. They currently have rolling blackouts because they can't currently meet the demand. But they're going to add to the demand with electric cars. Let me say that again for the slow learners. California cannot currently keep up with the demand for the electrical power needed to power their infrastructure in their state. So they do rolling blackouts to conserve and save the power so they can send it where it needs to go. Gavin Newsom, the governor, just signed a bill outlawing getting rid of gas-powered cars by 2035. The only current alternative to gas-powered cars are electric-powered cars. Electric-powered cars have to be recharged, which means you have to plug them into the grid and charge them. If you get rid of the tens of millions of cars that are in the state of California and replace them with tens of millions of electric cars, because people are going to do that, you've now increased your demand tenfold on an infrastructure that currently can't handle the current load. Liberal logic. Illogic. Dumbassery. Whatever. Okay, so that's California. Liberal logic. Just bright display right there for you. I covered the Flynn thing 2 days ago now. There's a couple other things that came out I wanted to cover. These are, not to overuse the word, I know they're devastating to the current mainstream media's theme what was their theme that Michael Flynn's guilty, he deserves to be in jail, blah, 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 he's a Russian stooge and all this stuff, right? So I'm going to direct your attention to an article that came out This is from the Federalist. It came out on September the 24th. It was written by Sean Davis and Molly Hemingway. Molly Hemingway is an awesome journalist. You need to follow her. She puts out some really good material. So anyway, back to the article. Trump was right. Explosive new FBI text detail internal furor over handling of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. So like I said, I covered this the other day, right? Where the analysts took out liability insurance because they knew the shit was going to start rolling downhill, and they took out their insurance to protect themselves because they were doing what they were ordered to do. I also covered that the investigation was scheduled to be delivered or terminated, ended, whatever, in November of 16 because there was no there. How would the analysts know, or why would they text each other that the investigation was coming to an end in November of 2016? They are ground level troops, if you will. They are not the ones that would make that call nor decision. That would have to be pushed down to them from higher. Who was the higher that said they were going to close the Crossfire Hurricane investigation on Flynn in November of 2016? And then who said we're going to keep it open? Interesting questions, right? I know the answer. Do you? So anyway, you can go through the article. There's information here that we covered the other day, but I wanted to bring your attention to a couple different things. Right here. So glad they're closing Razor. Crossfire Razor, the investigation specifically into Michael Flynn. They're going to close it in 2016, as these people believe. Key marker. So, let's get down to this a little bit further. Here it is right here. The new disclosures made by DOJ also showed the FBI used so-called national security letters to spy on Flynn's finances. Have you heard that before? Do you know what those are? It explains them. Unlike traditional subpoenas, which require judicial review and approval before authorities can seize an innocent person's property and information, NSLs are never independently reviewed by courts. One of the agents noted in the text message that the NSLs were just being used as a pretext by FBI leadership to buy time to find dirt on Flynn after the first investigation of him yielded no derogatory information. And that is the death toll. That is the death nail. That is the last nail in the final nail in the coffin. Hang it up. It's done. This right here shows you that the FBI had nothing on Flynn. Not a scintilla of information nor evidence that he did anything wrong, even on his call with the Russian ambassador. Keep it in mind, the charges originally were that he discussed the sanctions that Obama had put in place, or was putting in place, because at the time of the phone call, the sanctions hadn't actually been put in place. What he actually did discuss was the expulsion of a couple of Russian people that Obama kicked out, because he's a petulant fucking child. So during that whole investigation time, they couldn't find anything on Flynn. So they pull this thing, the NSL. They go through and pull his finances and all that stuff, which does not require judicial review, does not require subpoena. They used it to stall for time because they still hadn't found anything on Trump. And by the way, they never found anything on Flynn. I'm sorry, I said Trump earlier, I meant Flynn. Not one piece of information has been found to show anything that Michael Flynn had done wrong other than the bullshit with the illegal FBI questioning of Flynn. It's there. It's in black and white. You need to read the rest of the article because there is a shit ton of more information in this article that completely obliterates the whole left-leaning media's narrative and the liberal narrative about Flynn. It's done. This is over. If Sullivan does not dismiss this case, it will go to the Supreme Court. It will be a unanimous decision to dismiss this case against Flynn. The taxpayers are now going to be on the hook because he's going to sue every FBI agent all the way up to and including Comey should be individually sued, along with Biden and Susan Rice and Barack Hussein Obama sued individually for what they did to this man. He was a 3-star general, had a perfectly clean record, had no derogatory marks at all on his military record, and they destroyed him all in a means to try and get to Trump. It wasn't about Flynn. He was just a stooge. To them, he's a nobody. He knew where all the bodies were buried, so they needed to get rid of him. But in the bigger scheme of things, they were trying to go after Trump through Flynn, and it failed fabulously. So anyway, you need to read this article from the Federalist. There was another article that came out today, too. So this is from Just the News. It was written by John Solomon. It came out today, the 25th of November, 2020. FBI agent, never was evidence of Russia collusion, but Mueller team had get Trump goal. There it is. Those of us that have been in the know and pay attention and have said this over and over and over again, the investigation into Trump, his inner circle, as well as Flynn, was done and over. There was no there found. Not one person that has been investigated, looked at, questioned, or whatever has been charged with anything related to Russia collusion. The people that were charged with this whole debacle with Flynn, that's going to get tossed. It was a total lie. Manafort got jacked up on a taxi medallion from before he was even in the Trump circle. Carter Page was exonerated after the whole thing coming out with him, where he was an actual asset that was used by the CIA to get dirt and information from Russia. But nobody else has been charged with anything related to colluding, spying, being an agent of Russia. Nobody. After 2.5 years of investigation, including 3 different investigatory bodies and levels of investigation, nobody has been charged or found to have any evidence that they did anything Russia collusion related at all. So back to this article. An FBI agent who played a lead role investigating Michael Flynn told the Justice Department there was never evidence of wrongdoing by the retired general or Russia collusion by President Trump. But the probe was kept open by special counsel Robert Mueller because his team had a get Trump goal, according to an explosive interview released on Friday, today. You need to go get Dan Bongino's books, Spygate, and Exonerated. It lays this out. What's coming out now, Dan Bongino wrote about and published. He's got some great sources somewhere. He laid this out, just filleted it. And what you're seeing now is exactly what he put in his books. That's another reason why I know about this case and I'm up to speed on it. You have to read to be informed. And on that note, let me show you something. Just to show you guys that I actually read, I went and printed this. This is the Hunter Biden, Burisma and Corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. This is the 87-page report that was put out by the Senate related to Hunter Biden and the whole Burisma thing, right? I printed it, I binded it myself, and I read it. You need to read it. I'm going to go back through this, highlight some stuff. It'll come out in another video. I just got to take my time, put it together. Got to be professional. So anyway, going back to the article, Agent William Barnett's interview with Justice Department prosecutors earlier this month provided a bombshell claim that both FBI superiors under Agency Director James Comey and Mueller's team exhibited bias in their pursuit of Trump that upended normal investigation decisions, tactics, and commitment to pursue evidence neutrality. What we have been saying all along. It was a witch hunt. Liberals are guilty of doing exactly what they accuse you of doing, and it's right here. This article continues on. The interview emerged just one day after Justice Department released the text or the report I showed you because they feared they could be sued. And FBI analysts bought liability insurance in January 2017 because they feared they could be sued for misconduct committed during the Russian probe. You know the whole thing, if you got nothing to hide, why are they getting insurance? If they got nothing to hide, if what they did, what they felt was legal and lawful and justified and within the purview and scope of their position, why would they get liability and professional liability insurance? Why? So back to the article. Barnett thought that Trump campaign may have been aware the Russians were attempting to impact the election, but that was far different from the Trump campaign and the Russians having a deal and or working together, quid pro quo. The report September 17 interview reads. Read the rest of it. It's as interesting as a previous article. It's just mind-blowing. It is, for those of you who don't know what's going on in this case, those of us that were labeled conspiracy theorists and don't know what we're talking about, and all that good fun stuff. Ooh-wee. Are you going to eat some crow? Just saying. Okay, so I'm going to move on to one more item. Florida today came out, or Governor DeSantis of Florida came out today and said, nope, we're moving into phase 3. We're opening everything up. It's kind of big news considering Florida was a state of contention on both sides of this with regards to the whole pandemic known as COVID-19. So today DeSantis said, we're done. Restaurants, bars go back to normal, go back to full capacity. So I went looking today. This is a Google search I did where I typed in Florida moves to phase 3. So there's the things that come back are the Sun Sentinel, a Florida paper, West.com, a Florida news agency, Click Orlando, a Florida news agency, NBCMiami.com, news agency, Fox 13 News, a Fox affiliate in Florida, News for Jax, a Jacksonville news outlet, a Channel 4 News, Herald Tribune, a Florida paper, and so on, etc., 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 etc. Not one national outlet listed. One would think that news as big as Florida, which was a state of contention, the whole, they've got COVID, everybody's going to die. They're third only to New York, New Jersey, blah, 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 all the bullshit lies you've been told, right? Florida, or DeSantis comes out and said, man, fuck that, I'm done. We're not playing this game anymore. And not one national outlet covered it, to include Fox News. Just amazing. So if you go back to, what I did, I went ahead and did a DuckDuckGo search. Florida moves to phase 3. Okay, so Palm Beach, Sun Sentinel, News Press, all Florida news outlets, news-press.com. There is the Sun Sentinel, a Florida outlet, some YouTube videos, WLRN, a Florida news outlet, DeSantis Lives to TampaBay.com, obviously a Florida news outlet, Click Orlando again, Fox 2 Detroit. Oh wait, a Detroit, Michigan Fox affiliate covered it, but no other national news organization, not in the first page of results, covered it. That's just weird. You would think, Florida is always in the news because, Florida man or Florida woman, voting, swing state, everything Florida does. They opened the beaches too early and COVID erupted. Trump gave a speech, stump speech, etc. in Pensacola a while back. Oh, COVID. So now they're releasing and opening or going to phase 3, and we get crickets from the mainstream press. It's just amazing. So we also did one more search just to show you Florida moves to phase 3. This is on yahoo.com. So go to the top of the page. You have the Miami Herald, Yahoo News, Yahoo Sports, okay, whatever. YouTube stuff, but from no major outlet. Then we have the Sun Sentinel, again, Florida News. WLRN, another Florida news outlet. KHOU. I believe that is technically actually Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. News Press, My Sun Coast, Florida, Daily Caller. Oh, that's a global one. Huh, it's amazing. Finally. TampaBay.com, Florida. WFIT, Florida. Jackson County Times, Florida. Fox 2, Detroit. So on 3 search engines, not one major outlet, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, MSNBC, none of them have reacted to DeSantis saying, fuck it, I'm done. We're pulling out of this whole COVID crap. You would think that'd be major news, considering the left is hammering the 200,000 that died from COVID. Oh, I'm going to address that, and then I'll leave you. Nobody dies from a virus. A virus cannot be a cause of death. A cause of death is a stoppage of the heart, a stoppage of the lungs, a stoppage of the brain. Those are the 3 ways a person dies. If a person has hypertension and dies of a heart attack, the cause of death is the actual heart attack. Hypertension being a comorbidity or aided, or what's the right, the word escapes me at the moment, is a contributing factor in death. But the actual cause of death is a heart attack. If somebody has the flu and they die because they also had hypertension, heart problems, whatever, and the flu exacerbates their condition and they die of a cardiac arrest, what goes on their death certificate and has always gone on the death certificate is cardiac arrest, the cause of death. Hypertension could be a comorbidity. The flu could be an exacerbating or a comorbidity, that kind of stuff, but nobody dies from a virus. Viruses cause death because they cause the body to malfunction, but the actual cause of death is cardiac arrest. The heart stops. The lungs stop working, or you get enough fluid in your lungs where it blocks your oxygen. You actually suffocate to death, or your brain stops working. Aneurysm, no blood flow to the brain, etc. That's it. If your blood stops flowing because you get shot in the chest, your brain quit working, or your heart quit working because got pushed out your back or whatever, right? So anyway, just want to throw that tidbit out there. Keep that in mind when you're looking at COVID deaths, because they're lying to you. They are preying on your ignorance, they are preying on your stupidity, and they are preying on your sheep-like mentality to belong to a herd, because nobody likes to stand out on their own, away from the crowd, to be belittled by the crowd, even if they are 100% correct and the herd is 100% wrong. Hardly anybody wants to stand out of that. So wear your mask and bleat like the sheep most of you guys are. And with that, I'll say good night. So, good night, Gracie.